Housing Development Progress. Number one and the best. Housing Development Progress. Number one. Number one. Housing Development Progress. Number one and the best. Housing Development Progress. Number one. Housing Development Progress. In Nigeria. Housing Development Progress. In Africa. Housing Development Program and the globe. Number one, Housing Development Program.
The housing sector plays a more critical role in the country's welfare than is always recognized, as it directly affects not only the well-being of the citizenry, but also the performance of other sectors of the economy. Rather than climbing the housing ladder, too many Nigerians are just falling off the cliff as home ownership rates are low. The focus on affordable housing by the Nigerian government as well as private players needs to increase as population growth and urbanization does not seem to be slowing down. Access to more affordable loans for all Nigerians, as well as lower cost of construction, will enable more Nigerians own homes, which would improve their quality of life. This is Housing Development, where we advocate for the provision of low-cost housing for Nigerians. As always, I am your housing diva, Fleur Annie. The news making rounds in the sector is up next.
The Abia State Government says it will prosecute owners of buildings erected with fraudulently obtained approval in the state. The Commissioner for Information and Culture in the state, Oke Kanu, made this known while addressing reporters on the outcome of the State Executive Council meeting in Umuahia. According to Kanu, the state government has an extant law on the erection of buildings in the state, which had been in existence since 1971. But had been poorly implemented by past administrations. The commissioner said that illegally erected buildings deface the environment and could cause environmental hazards such as flooding. Governor Mohammed Umaru Bago has directed that all buildings in the state capital housing illicit drugs be demolished. He gave the directive after donating 20 operational vehicles to security operatives as part of efforts to curb crime in Minna metropolis. Governor Bago reiterated that the Niger State government will not permit criminality in the state and would work hard to prevent criminals from inflicting pains on residents of Minna. Out of the 20 operational vehicles, 12 were donated to the Nigeria Police Force, while State Security Service SSS and Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps NSCDC will receive 2 each. Green Building Council Nigeria GBCN and International Finance Corporation IFC plan to host the Future Cities Summit to address sustainable building practices and accelerate net zero as well as climate resiliency in urban development. The event, which is part of the IFC Edge Green Building Market Transformation Program, will take place in Abuja and bring together key stakeholders within the real estate and construction sector. According to IFC, the summit will serve as a crucial platform for about 1,000 built environment professionals and stakeholders, providing opportunities for thought leadership, industry networking, sustainability advocacy, and recognition of initiatives. GBCN and IFC's Edge will also provide an avenue to empower attendees with the shared vision of policies and programs needed to create net zero and resilient Nigerian cities, showcase sustainable building practices, and highlight the progress achieved in green buildings in Nigeria. The CEO of Africa International Housing Show, AIHS, Festus Adebayo, says not less than 15 countries are expected to participate in the 2023 Africa International Housing Show, an annual event that draws housing professionals across the globe to network on the way forward in housing development. Adebayo revealed this while speaking with journalists in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, Adebayo also stated that this year's edition, coming at a time when a new government has just emerged in Nigeria, makes it unique as it aligns with the pledge of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to improve housing sector in the country and attract investors. He also disclosed that with the level of commitment shown by partners who are international finance institutions, the show is now of utmost importance not only to Nigeria, but to them at these institutions, including the World Bank.
For full details of the news, you will to visit www.africanhousingnews.com. In the face of several buildings springing up across the country, many citizens still roam the streets homeless. This raises an important question that should be answered. Affordable housing. What must state governors do to provide affordable housing in their various states? Now let's find out with Professor Charles Iyangete, the CEO of Innovative Risks and Investment Solutions Limited.
There's a lot that the state government and the governors can do to make housing more affordable. Let's look at the affordability contribution that they can make. Readily providing land, say for example, for the social housing that's being done without much strings attached. Land in good quality locations, not land in locations that are distant, land in locations where the people can be close to the source of income or economic activity would be very, very important. Also, governors can make a huge contribution via the various charges that are state-based. I'll give you an example. When you look at the governor's consent, there's an average of about 8%. You look at the legal fees, about 7.5%. Land registration, about 3%. Stamp duty, 3%. Mortgage registration, about 5% or thereabouts. When you add those state-based charges, they all come to about 26.5%. That's pretty high. Whereas if governors were to choose to defray some of these, say for example, if the governor's consent were to be reduced to just say about 1%, because you want to still make revenue, and the legal charges to say 1.5%, and the others at just over 0.5% each, you can bring down that 26.5% to about 5.5%. That would be a huge contribution. It's within the powers of governors to do this. And so every governor in this nation ought to really think carefully about their role in addressing housing issues. You know, they have a lot of powers and they need to use those powers judiciously. And so I would really implore every governor to address the issue of housing as a top priority and a way of leaving a legacy.
Charles Iyangete there, speaking of practical solutions that state governors must adopt to make affordable housing a reality in their various states. You're watching Housing Development. One major area of contention between landlords and tenants has been quick and eviction notice. Is it right for a landlord to forcefully evict his tenant? Have you heard of such an experience like that with your landlord? Share your experience with us on our social media handles displayed on your TV screen, or send a mail to housingprogramonit@gmail.com. In the meantime, let's find out on Voices on the Street.
me, I don't think it's right. Normally, you have to follow due process by involving the authorities like a law court for them to evict a tenant, not the landlord taking law by his hands. I think the government should try to see that landlords are made to follow the law. They should be enforced to take back the tenant until the tenant is legally or rightfully evicted from the house.
No, not at all. It's not right for a landlord to forcefully evict his tenants from the house. At least I believe they should give them a quit notice. And if that time elapses, maybe he can give a little more time. But just to come and just evict, where would they expect the tenant to sleep? They would render the tenant homeless. It's not right at all. I think the government should set a law, and should make sure that the landlords abide by the law. I think that's the best thing to do.
In my own opinion, it's right. Yes, because see, most of those tenants, they are wicked. One, they know the law that you can't throw their things. They will not pay you. Even when you take them to a station, they will give you time. Giving you time, they are not paying you. You use maybe the money you use in building this, you plan it that from this you'll be paying your children's school fee, you'll be feeding your family. But somebody just occupy your house, not paying you. You understand? Maybe at the end of the day, he damages the house when he's going, and still you didn't get that money. So if today somebody is living in my house, is not paying me, in fact, I will remove the roof. I will throw everything. Then let's go the other side and face the law. Government should do something about that law. The law, the tenants, they have upper hand over the landlords or landladies. Sure, you understand me? So government should do something about that. And at the same time, in the country we live today, we are still begging the same government. Every individual, as a citizen of your country, you need to have a roof of your own. Through mortgage, whether you are working under federal government, state government, or even when you are doing your own personal work, artisans. So you need to have a room so that all this embarrassment, maybe to the landlord or to the tenant, all those things will not be there.
It is very wrong for any landlord to throw his tenant things or property out, because when you are staying in a house, you are the owner of that house at that moment. So if you are facing difficulties in renewing your rent, at least the landlord should understand with you and give you some time. Throwing things out is a wrong idea. As a tenant, you should know your rights. If a landlord should come and throw your things out because you don't have the money to renew your rent, you have to go to the court of law, and I think that there are many bodies that will come to your aid to help you to get justice to that.
I wouldn't say it's right for a landlord to forcefully evict his tenant, but it's also his right. Like, it's kind of contradictory, but it's his right. He owns the house. He owns the right to do whatsoever he wants to do with it. But I don't think it is okay for him to forcefully evict. If he wants a particular tenant to leave his house, there are ways to go about it. But I don't think the method should be forceful.
It depends, but personally, I would say it's not right for a landlord to forcefully push out his or her tenants away. It's very, very wrong. If you have issue with the tenants, or if the house rent has expired and the tenant doesn't want to vacate the house, the right thing for you to do, maybe go to the appropriate authorities, maybe meet a lawyer, and a quick notice will be issued to the tenant, and a time will be given for such tenants to get his or her belongings out of the house. I believe that's the right way to do it.
No, it's not the right thing to do. Landlord is not supposed to eject his tenant from his house, really. If a tenant rentage has expired, you need to give him 3 months notice based on Nigerian Constitution. You understand me? When you give him 3 months notice and he is not able to pay, you understand me? You take him to court. Court can also give him some extension. After that one, they will give him time notice. Court will give him time that they will actually come and ask him to bring his property out. But for a tenant to come out, for a landlord to ask the tenant to move out just because his rentage has expired, is not lawful, it's not proper. So I think government need to come into this scene because it's actually going rampant.
There you have it, some Nigerian tenants narrating their eviction notice experience. But ignorance, we are told, is not an excuse before the law. So, with so many physical harassment and legal contention between landlords and tenants, what really are the legal ways to eviction? Let's find out from this report and tenancy regulation laws.
Over and again, stories have been told by tenants about landlords from hell, and always people live with the hope that they would never encounter them. For many landlords, despite doing everything possible to get good tenants, situations may still arise where a tenant is not cooperating, not paying rent as at when due, is outrightly disobeying or disrespecting rules of a legally binding tenancy agreement.
First of all, every agreement regulates the tenancy. Regardless of the fact that the law says a yearly tenant is entitled to 6 months. Where you go into a tenancy agreement and the landlord say your notice is 7 days, it remains 7 days because that is your agreement. It overrides the law. But where you do not have tenancy agreement in place, then the law regulates. That's the way it works. So if you give somebody a house and you don't serve him, because a lot of people evade tenancy agreements, forgetting that that is the document they should confront because that's what regulates your stay in the premises. So you should be very interested in reading through what is provided there. I remember the first tenancy a landlord ever gave to me. After I went through, I told him, this is not a tenancy agreement. It's a regulation to me on how I stay in your house, which I do not think I will sign. I said, no, if you want me to sign a proper agreement, do one, or I can do it for free because there are two sides to agreements. There's always an obligation and there is always a duty on both sides. So that's why it's called an agreement. So the two parties must agree. They must be at what the law calls addendum, meeting of minds, before they sign. But in most cases, experience has shown people just hurry into premises and at the end of the day, they now be at the mercy of the landlord. And trust our landlords who now treat their tenants like master-slave. They take advantage of it. But depending on the regulation of any tenancy, be it by agreement, by law, there is no such thing as you can walk into. It's called self-help. And I have seen situations where the courts have, a landlord took matter to court. And eventually, when the court found out that he was trying, because when you go remove somebody's window or pull down his roof, that's self-help. The judge abandoned the case he brought and did the self-help, awarded damages against him in his own premises.
Meanwhile, for some tenants, landlords just prove difficult, making decisions to renovate their houses and proceeding to evict their tenants without giving them adequate time. From the law's viewpoint, what is illegal eviction? Can eviction be contested? What is the proper procedure to evict a tenant?
Well, there are a series of what you may term, in your words, illegal evictions, which could arise in different ways. Like when once there is a land or a property, at times we see people evade other people's properties. Like you see even the madman on the street goes into somebody's properties and start living there. You see a normal person walks into somebody's property, start living there. When the person wants to take over his property, for instance, how does he go about it? Since he did not put him there. The law protects even the trespasser. That kind of person is called the trespasser to the property. So the law provides that he should be given notice before you can evict him. When you serve that notice, assuming forget about the fact of mentioning a lunatic. Say, let's take a normal person who walks into a property, walks in there and decides to inhibit there. When the landlord wants to take over, he still has to. And after serving that notice, if he doesn't go, the way to go is to go to court to evict him. That is legal way of evicting. Any other thing outside that will be what we call self-help. Because the law does not allow you to manhandle anybody. We are supposed to be a civilized nation. So all you need to do is, after you serve the notice and the man does not go out, you take the next step by filing processes in court and take him to court. If the court agrees with you, the man gets evicted.
There are strong indications that the nearest future holds more challenges for rent-paying Nigerians, with landlords prepared to evict tenants who are unable to renew their rents promptly upon expiration.
In the context of Nigerian law, as there are laws protecting the tenant, the landlord has laws protecting his rights under the Nigerian law too. As a tenant, make sure you read and fully understand the tenancy agreement given to you before signing. Stay with Housing Development. I will be back. Welcome back. This is Housing Development. Africa's largest housing conference and exhibition, Africa International Housing Show, will be hosting its 17th edition come July 24 to 27, 2023 at the International Conference Center Abuja, Nigeria. One event that has provided positive solutions to the housing sector growth in Nigeria is Africa International Housing Show. The largest home expo in Africa is dedicated to ensuring safe, decent and affordable housing for all Africans. The show has been promoting housing affordability for all since 2006. The 17th Africa International Housing Show convened policymakers, operators, regulators, and advocates to explore policy solutions to address Nigerians' most pressing housing challenges. This year's speakers include both nationally and internationally recognized housing, finance, and community development experts. Africa International Housing Show offers housing professionals and leaders the guidance and inspiration they need to shape the future of social housing and deliver for residents and communities. Now, here are what you must know about Africa International Housing Show.
The Africa International Housing Show, AIHS, is the #1 event for the housing and construction industry in Africa. Attending AIHS is the right move for you. Housing and construction shows are the epicenter of the industry. They are filled with attendees that are just like you. It is your #1 opportunity to exhibit, network, make sales, and build relationships with other professionals in your industry. This event creates the avenue to meet your next business partner. You may learn from a fellow professional. You may meet a professional that provides you with a business solution. Meet that potential buyer for your products. Meet a strong investor that will take your business to the next level. AIHS focuses on every aspect of the built industry and market and bring an entire industry together. There is no better place to gain an overview of the industry and to take a deep dive into the industry with exhibitors you talk to, product demos you experience, education sessions you sit on, and everyone you meet during AIHS. Check out your competitors. AIHS is the perfect window to see what your competitors is doing. This gives you the opportunity to find out what is working for them so you can leverage this information to make educated business decisions about your own products, service, or business. Face-to-face interactions are priceless. The Housing and Construction Show gives you the opportunity to sit down face-to-face with prospects to convert them to customers. You will be interviewed at the venue to talk about your goods and services, which will be aired on AIT and TVC. AIHS is the best place to be, the first to discover upcoming trends, new products and services, and everything that is happening or about to happen in the industry. To learn more, visit our website www.africanhousingshow.com.
Welcome back. For more details on the 17th African International Housing Show, visit the website shown on your screen. Thank you so much for keeping a date. It was good having you join me today on the program. For more on this, please visit Housing TV on YouTube and also follow us on all our social media platforms. I'll be here next week with a fresh edition of Housing Development and look forward to having you again. I remain your housing diva, Flora Ami.